Okay, here we're looking at another example, but here we're going to be adding polynomials instead. So let's take a look. What's great about adding polynomials is that the distribution that we did with subtracting doesn't need to take place. Because when you're adding polynomials, you can easily just rewrite the polynomial without the parentheses, because the parentheses aren't really doing too much at this moment. Okay, so since none of these signs are going to change, we can just go ahead and drop all of the terms, and then we will be able to identify which terms we can combine with each other. So once I've copied down, I can then start to look. Where do I want to begin looking? I want to begin looking for family members with the largest power. So I notice that in my list of polynomial terms here, what I have is a positive u to the third. That one has my largest power. Now, why do I look for the one with the largest power first? Is because when I write the final polynomial, I want it to go with the largest power first. Then the next term will have a slightly smaller power and then slightly smaller. So since I look for u to the third, I notice I don't have any other u to the third terms, so then I get to bring down u to the third by itself. Okay, so we're just going to bring it down. Okay, now we can look for terms with a slightly smaller power. So we'll look for terms that have a power of 2. Okay, so I'm looking for powers of 2, so I identify negative 4u squared and negative 2u squared. Both of these have u to the second power, so guess what? We get to combine the coefficients. Okay, so negative 4 minus 2, we get to bring both of these together, and we can do the subtraction. So negative 4 minus 2 will give us negative 6u squared. Next, we'll look for the u to the first power, right? And so sometimes you don't see u to the first, you'll just see u. And like I mentioned in the video before, that's because there's usually an invisible one hiding right above the u. Okay, but most times you don't see it. But I notice as I'm looking through my other terms, this is the only term I have that has a power of 1. So guess what? Since there's nothing or no other term to combine with, we bring it down. So I bring down negative 8u. And once again, we don't need to write down the power of 1. Finally, after we no longer have any terms left with a power of 1, we look to our constants. So the constants are negative 4 and positive 2. All right, they belong to the same families because they don't have the variable u. So we're going to go ahead and combine these two terms. So negative 4 plus 2 is going to lead us to a negative 2. And so let me just write it real quickly, cleaned up. U to the third, notice how my largest power is part of the first term, minus 6u squared, minus 8u minus 2. And this would be your polynomial.